Grab your art history degrees, Wargamers, and your matching application to the local chain franchise burger flipping joint, because today we are doing a long overdue painting alone together, and today we are painting a wonderful sci-fi death cult. This is from Alternative Armies, and I don't know exactly which one it is. If I remember, I'll track down exactly which product code this is and put a link down there. It's a fantastic little unit. We're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 guys. Feels like I'm missing one. 17 is a good round number. Oh, it's a good prime number. And I am really excited to be doing this one because I have discovered YouTube painting. And there's a feller, I think it's not Wargamer Fritz. I can't remember who it is now. It's called Hobby Cheating. And he goes into color theory. Now, he paints mostly the big boys, 28s, all those giant monsters that are all the rage that people spend like $80 on, and then they do a little paint and it lives on their shelf forever. He taught me something fascinating about the color purple, and so I was very excited. Oh, I'll put a link to whoever it is. I'll look it up later. He taught me something fascinating about the color purple, and I want to show you. He goes into all of the color theory. I'm not an expert. Like I said, go look up what he's got for you. This purple is a nice, rich purple color. In fact, I'll tell you exactly which one it is. If you're using the apple barrels, it's purple pansy. Really dark. A little too dark. Now, normally, whenever I paint purple fabrics, I had been dry brushing with a light, well, this is called lilac mist, but to kind of give you an idea of the difference in colors there. See that? But it never really looked right to me. I could only get it. It was a little off, and I couldn't figure out why. And he explained that purple is a magic color because it has both red and blue. Most colors, there's not a lot of blue in this guy. They're either warm or cold. And I don't understand how it works. All I know is it turns out that the great thing about purple is that you don't want to necessarily dry brush with just a whiter purple, because all it does is desaturate the colors. What you really want to do is pick something with a little bit more red in it. So to bring out the purple a little bit more here, we'll zoom right in on him. There we go. I actually dry brushed with this hot pink, magenta. And by using just that little bit of magenta, oddly enough, when we do this with it unfocused, you can see that pink a little bit more. It actually makes that purple not just a little bit brighter, it brightens it up by warming it up, which makes it read to the eye a little bit warmer, which is particularly important. I'm going to bring a little bit more light over here, which is particularly important when you're dealing with 15 millimeter figures. Remember that the general rule of thumb is that as you step down in scale, you need to step up your brightness a little bit more. You don't want to use a pale yellow on 6 millimeter figures. If you're looking for yellow, you need to go with the brightest yellow you can because you've got so much less area. Then the other nice thing about this purple is you can see he's got a pale blue belt, and this is unfocused on purpose, so that pale blue comes right out. And the purple ties together that blue and the yellow. Now, purple also has a little bit of yellow in it. This guy obviously has a golden skull death mask on. And for some reason, this guy has a diving bell on, which is hysterical to me. The other thing that he taught me about painting is when you paint gold, don't just put gold on white, because all that does is desaturate the gold. You need to pick a color for the base color that this, and I'm using these, Citadel, right, Auric Armor Gold or Bronze. And I had been struggling because I was using bronze with a little gold highlight. And I was smart enough to at least slap down your bronze, dry brush white, and then put this on so that this brightens up a little more. He said, no. You know, the YouTube painters are great. He said, look, why don't you try putting orange down first? And look at this rust bot. I have another one of these. He's bright and colorful. But I wanted a guy that had more of a rust bot flavor. And all I did with this guy is I started with an orange like this. what is this one called? So here we got Ceramcoat Dark Goldenrod. From that, then we went with the bronze, and then we capped off with a little white and a little gold, and that gives him this burnished bronze color that I think just looks fantastic. So, God bless you, Wargaming YouTube. You guys are fantastic. I'm really glad to be a part of this YouTube experience and learning from you guys, both in the comments and in general. But this is not a listen to John do a half-baked lecture on color theory that he's really not qualified to do. This is a painting alone together. So the next thing we're going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and start slapping paint and talking about this hobby a little more. But one thing that you'll notice here is that the shoes, I don't like the shoes. You can see I gave them all pale blue jeans too. A little high contrast, right? If you're going to go dark purple, you're going to want to go pale for the other things. They're little welder's helmets. But those shoes, now, to be honest with you, let's see if we can get this to show up. I think they're supposed to be barefoot. I don't think they're supposed to wear pants at all. Okay, that's fine if they're not supposed to wear pants. But I'm going to give them shoes. And so my little idea here, this is like the laziest version, might show up a little better on this guy, the laziest version of kit bashing. Yeah, I think you can actually see his toes on this one. Yeah, see his little toes there? So I'm going to give him barefoot shoes, the kind of snuggy, tight-fitting shoes. But right now, the bright yellow is just a little too neon. So we're going to take that down a notch. And one thing we could do is hit it with just a little pale yellow. But instead, I'm going to go ahead and bring out a little more detail, and I'm going to hit it with a sepia. Kind of curious to see how this works out. So we'll lock in exactly where's my camera? There we go. So there's where this hand is going to go. We'll lock in our... there we go. We'll lock in our focus, and then we'll start talking about what a great hobby we got here. In addition to the aforementioned paint experts who dedicate so much of their time to teaching, would-be, experts like me, basic color theory. Look at that. Look at that. Just that little bit of rubbish sepia wash just takes the harsh edge off. And now he's wearing more of a... I mean, I like the yellow. I like the contrast there. But these guys are running around a desert. They're not going to have that bright yellow. And we'll move them to the back rank as we go. Learning a lot. And honestly, that's a big part of the reason why I started the joy of wargaming, is that I wanted to give back a little bit. I wanted to share with you guys, and I wanted to learn from you guys. This is an incredible hobby. It's really one of the most diverse hobbies going, because it doesn't matter what conflict you want to model. You can find figures. I'm coming to you live from Paradise. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I think it's... Who's the Australian guys? Is it Essex? You can get Polynesian warriors. You can get Hawaiians, like pre-contact Hawaiians, in 15 millimeters. You can game out pre-contact Hawaiian. That's how specific you can get. That's how diverse this hobby is. You can do any conflict that has ever been done, that two nations have ever fought, and even some that weren't even between nations. You can find it. You can find figures somewhere. It's huge. It's sprawling. There's so many different people doing so many different things. We're going off in a lot of different directions. And boy, it's great. Really glad to be a part of it. I just wanted to remind you guys that it ain't broken. It doesn't need fixing. The people that are telling you it needs fixing are... they have other ulterior motives. They got stuff to sell you. Look at that. See that little... Oh, look out, discount 3PO. He's actually not... If you look at this guy, I think his face... Look at this robot here real quick. You know who he reminds me of with that big goofy smile? Have you ever seen the BBC's version of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I think this robot looks a lot like Marvin, the paranoid android from the BBC's. It's kind of a teleplay. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's great. It's a very faithful adaptation. I think Douglas Adams actually worked on that. I do enjoy the Hollywood movie as well. It's a little bit different. It goes off in some strange directions, and it's not to everyone's taste. But you know, if you're watching a guy paint a space cultist with a diver's helmet on, it's probably to yours. It's a little different, but hey, it's a little random. And I mean, come on, it's Douglas Adams, right? If you're complaining about Douglas Adams going off in random directions, is a little bit like complaining that your dog doesn't meow. It's complaining that your dog barks instead of meowing. That's what it is. Same thing with these pouches. I painted them nice yellow, but you know, I think that we could stand. Hey, no, go brighter. What are you doing, camera? I think we need to add a little bit more contrast in there. And there you go. That's all you got to do. We got a nice little backpack here. I painted it goldenrod. We're going to pick out some more of the texture on that. Pick out the texture on these feet. We are going to use, by special request, my art director is playing Minecraft very quietly over in the corner right now. I would shout thank you, but she's very polite, and she would shout you're welcome, which would mean I'd have to say that this is only for, you know, once a kid talks on your video, you got to tell YouTube there's a kid here, and then you have to shut off the comments. And I like the comments. I like what you guys teach me. So my art director, lovely and talented young woman, has decided that purple would be better for these because there's nothing untoward about purple worms. And then we'll give their belly a little separate color. When we make these videos, the lighting and the direction, the cinematography, you got to think about that. That's kind of a full-time job. The rules themselves are a full-time job. And then speaking just off the cuff and trying to be entertaining and enlightening, that's a full-time job. So we're actually trying to do 3 jobs at once here. Yeah, boy, he's going to look really disgusting, isn't he? We're actually doing 3 jobs here. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out. So when you comment on die rolls that are forgotten, rules that we forgot, abilities that we forgot, bear in mind that you're dealing with people who are functioning at a very high level. They're trying to keep 3 balls in the air at once. And if one of them tends to fall from time to time, cut them a little slack. Be gentle with your criticisms. That's how we want to roll things here. Now that our golden slippers are a little less golden, we are going to take a look at these cultists. And the next thing we're going to do, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff and trying to keep you company as you go through your own painting challenges here. One of the things that I want to do is these weapons need to be kind of a grayish color. Not fully black, because you're looking at a black weapon against a dark purple. It's just not going to read well at all. We're going to try to get the butt of this guy here. So we need to find a shade that is somewhere between full black, but still reads as a weapon. And that shade is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to hit this with everybody's favorite Nuln Oil. But to get the right look, we need to make sure that we've cleared up any slop. So right along here, along the top of this guy, I'm going to go ahead and just run a little bead of bright white. And it's okay if it fills in the lines there, because the Nuln Oil that we're using, bit of an odd shape to this guy here, the Nuln Oil that we're using is going to fill in those cracks. So the key here is just we're trying to get as much white on as much of the weapon as possible, so that the wash has a consistent color over the entire surface of the weapon. or perhaps I should say, consistent color, not a consistent shade, because again, it self-shades, right? But now you can see how that bright white comes out. And again, it's out of focus for a reason. I want to show you how it reads at a distance, right? You're going to be looking at it on a table way out there. So you can see that, and it's bright white, which is not a good look right now, but it will be once we slap a little black on there. We've got a nice, what are we looking at here? Nice little axe, little sword. And we want to get the top of it as well. You see that? There we go. And a little along the bottom just for giggles. Boop. There we go. And we'll paint that a separate color. And now that's going to read, in fact, even right here, it reads at a distance as a nice sword. Now this guy, I don't know what we're going to do with this guy. Look at this. He's got a head on a pike. Is this a warning to a cultist that disobeyed the cult's orders? Is that what this helmet is up here? Should I paint it the same pale blue? I haven't quite decided yet. But I like the gray helmet on this guy. I do still need to get all their hair done, and we'll paint the hair in various shades. That'll help. But looky down here. Looky down here at the base of this pole. See how I got a lot of purple down here at the base of this pole? That's not going to look good. That purple is going to shine through no matter what kind of paint we use, particularly, well, since we're doing our acrylics. And again, that purple's a dark color. We want to go with bright shades on these little boys. And of course, you might not want to go with colors quite as bright as Mr. Wargaming does. Because Mr. Wargaming has to worry about making sure that you can see these guys on the tabletop. I actually even have recently started to dial up my colors an extra notch so that I can have contrast when I film these guys when I put them up on my videos. I need you to be able to tell that there's a guy right here. And I need you to be able to see what color he is. So we are working on lighting. You may have noticed recent videos and in upcoming videos, the lighting is maybe a little bit off. We haven't quite found the magic point yet, but we're getting there, getting better all the time. We are firm believers in the concept of fail faster. Try something. If it doesn't work, that's okay. You know. Well, that didn't work. So you know what you do? You try something else. And then you try something else. And you just keep trying something else's until you have a something else that is something else and looks really good. Even this pistol is a little too dark. We're going to add a little brightness here and a little brightness there. I think I originally had painted it pale blue so that it would match his belt and his helmet, but I have changed my mind. I think it just reads to the eye like an unfinished piece of equipment. So let's go ahead and finish it off with a little white, and then we'll put a little Nuln Oil, and then we'll be great. I'm going to move the camera out of the way, do white. White's getting boring. All right, Wargamers, I went ahead and finished off the whites, and I wanted to show you how this is going to work with the Nuln Oil. So just as we did with the shoes, we're going to lock this guy in. All right. And all we got to do is dab a little bit on there. Make sure we cover up all the white. And that's it. He has a nice gray. I'm going to set this guy aside. Now, nope, not this guy. He actually has like a golden suppressor, but I like that look on him, so we're going to leave that there. And we're going to dirty up this bright white. Maybe we'll dirty that up too, just a little bit. And there you go. Now we've got enough contrast between the robe and the weapon, but the weapon doesn't have that cartoony white. It looks like a nice pale gray. Maybe a little too white. So we'll just put on a second coat of Nuln Oil if we have to. And there's your contrast. And I'm going to tie all of it together on this guy too. He's got a nice little chain gun, a little belt-fed heavy weapon. Get the backside and get the backside. And that's all there is to it. And then when we see him at a distance, he's going to look just fine. This guy, I think I'm going to give him like a power sword. So we're going to tuck him off to the side. And we're going to tuck this guy off to the side too, because I don't know what we're going to do with this thing. Now here's a bit of a curious fella. This is that guy with a diving helmet again. And it's okay, but I really want that helmet, that little face mask. Okay, that might be a little bit too much Nuln Oil. We'll dab it back, kind of dial it back just a little bit. And then he does have some other things that need a little bit of attention. Yeah, there we go. It comes out a little more. He's got like a hose back here that dials into a little belt pouch. That hose we're going to do something a little different with. A little brown, something that makes it look a little more industrial. And then we'll bring you to our focus spot. And we'll slap some gray on your weapon. And now you're ready to march off to battle on our desert. Mr. Flamethrower, obviously we're going to have to do maybe a cool blue flame on that instead of the standard yellow and red. That could look good. Although, you know, you got to think about it, because I got so much blue on this model as it is. Is it just going to look like a blue club? Blue to match his face mask? One thing I could be doing is thinking about hair at this stage, right? This guy, you can actually see the back of his head. I could start brushing some Nuln Oil, but I don't know how many guys are going to be gingers, how many guys are going to be brunettes, how many guys are going to be redheads and all that. So we'll wait, and we'll just do all the hair in one shot. That way I can get a nice even mix of all different kinds. And then he's going to have a little power sword here too. So we'll put him over here with our special melee guys. Look how quick this goes. Once you get the white on there, you just slap a little gray, and that's all there is to it. Hey, thanks for painting with me today, guys. I got a little bit more, obviously. Wow, his face is a little jacked up. I'm going to have to do something about that. It looks way better on camera than it does in real life. Isn't that funny? Usually, I'm saying, oh, it looks better in real life. That might be the first figure that I ever had look better on film than it does in the real world. He looks, and when you look at him without the camera lens, man, he looks like he got beat with an ugly stick. There you go. Even our spyglass, our Sci-Fi spyglass, looks better with a little bit of extra grunge on it. We'll need to paint a little red tip or something on this bazooka, this RPG. Something to help it track as a guided missile, or an unguided missile. You never know, do you? So there's our cult coming along. 1 or 2 more sessions is all it's going to take. Hey, what's wrong with your hand here, mister? Looks like somebody forgot to paint a hand. Well, we'll do that right now. Alright, here we are the next day. Not the full collection, but I did get these guys painted, and I figured I might as well show you how good they look. So here you can see a little bit of hot pink really makes that purple jump out. Very simple figure. Even got them based. Something about having the grass on there looks good. I've said it before, say it again. Here's a little flamethrower guy. I did just go with the orange on him. and a little bit of detail on the tanks. Once again, these guys are all from alternative armies. Turns out these are post-apocalyptic warriors, not cultists. They have a whole other group of guys in robes with sci-fi weapons. This guy is ready for the next pandemic, real or fake. And the orange golden swords, you know, some kind of power sword. Same thing here. He's ready for the wasteland. Hand-to-hand guy, obviously. We've got a standard bearer with a nice orange helmet. He took from the orange tribe. Those filthy orange guys, ready to do some welding with a light blue welding helmet. And then here's a leader. He doesn't need a mask. Another guy. I really like this guy. This guy looks so sharp. The yellow eyelets just jump right out at you. I'm not sure what that little staff is supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be some kind of a skull, but whatever. You can see I was doing a little bit of painting today. Here's a big old heavy. Here's a big old heavy. And we'll draw him back so you can get a little better look at him. There we go. Kind of a yellow gun there. Still a little bit of a shine, but it's not too bad. And these guys are super bright. Guy with a rocket launcher, little golden mask. There you go. That's all there is to it. And then our wormy guys. I think they were supposed to be desert worms, but I went ahead and put them on the grass just to keep it consistent. Looks like a solid base. As we said, flesh would have prompted too many gross jokes, so I went ahead with the purple. And that purple, actually, purple on the tan came out looking nice and like a dark brown. That purple is almost brown. And then a couple of other things. While I have your attention, I want to show you a couple of lessons I've learned lately. I have learned the trick about putting ball bearings into your paint so that when you're ready to mix it, you can shake it and it kind of pre-rattles it, turns all your paint. Yet don't do it to your varnish. This, you can see it turned it pink. Maybe I used the wrong kind of BB. I'm not sure, but it became kind of almost a. It's not really noticeable. It goes on thin, so I had to go out and buy a new jar of varnish. Oops. And then another little quick hit for you. For those of you that have lasted this 30 full minutes, I want to show you a little terrain hack, I guess is the word we use now. These cans are simple metal crimps for electrical units, for holding wires together. I painted them green with a little recycle sign, and then I filled them with sand. Well, I didn't fill them with sand, actually. I wadded up some tissue paper and jammed it in the bottom, and then squeezed regular craft glue inside there. They haven't been varnished yet, so I should probably be careful. There you go. There's the metallic color. And then I just painted that sand in a lot of bright colors, and now it looks like rubbish. So those are going to go in my space station. And I even had time and wherewithal. Oh, I can show you. Here's to give you an idea how big they are to scale. These are the perfect size for garbage cans. Look at that. Yeah, I know it's not focused. You get it. And one last little bit of hobby stuff that I did. These wonderful little office trailers. There's your scale for you, 15 millimeters. They are, like all the best terrain, a little bit undersized compared to the scale. I just painted this one up a simple white. And again, gcmini.com. I painted one with a simple blue. And then I cut off a little piece of cereal box cardboard and painted on. We can zoom in a little closer so you can see exactly the detail on that guy. There we go. It doesn't look like much up front. In fact, you can see a little bit of air on the window there. But when you get it down on the table, it looks exactly like a little bulletin board. The little black edging there is just painted on. I also bought this little camper. And then one of the things that I did on all of these, the camper rested on the ground at a bit of an angle. So I stuck a couple of concrete blocks, and those concrete blocks are just regular mat board cut to shape, so that when I put this guy down, it doesn't tilt. I did the same thing on a couple of these trailers. Now they all have, you can see, two doors, one door in the center. So they all have their own little personality. The windows are a little bit different. But to give them a little more personality, I put two blocks on one I think this guy has 2 blocks down there, so they'll each sit a little different height. And then I went ahead and painted a construction company logo, safety first. And on the back I put a little sign. Again, this is just serial packet. And then if we can get this camera to cooperate, Harambe Construction Company. See the little gorilla logo? There it is again. Safety first. As we do on the table, so we do in real life. Practice safety, practice safe hobby, and feel free to steal both my electrical conduit. These are like $2 for 12 of them. This was $16 for these 3, and I think $3 or $4 for those. And now I've got a nice little compound ready to go for the federal raids. Thanks for painting alone with me. We'll see you next time. Until then, I'm praying for you.